But fellas, let's talk about another team in the NFC. We spent a good time, over an hour, a little over an hour, talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about
Really?
one. Yes, we did. That's why we're the highlight of Friday nights, as you always say, champ. The Washington Commanders finally took care of Terry McLaurin. I'm reading it right here. From ESPN's Adam Schefter, 3-year, $96 million contract extension. Terry McLaurin will receive a $30 million signing bonus in the deal. Terry McLaurin had an amazing season last year, made his second Pro Bowl appearance, helping the Washington Commanders get to the NFC Championship game, first time since 1991.
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, it took this long to come to that conclusion of giving him the money. I'm glad we did, champ. As you
Me
mentioned,
too.
you compared it to the Mike Evans. Hey, he's our
Yes.
Mike Evans because again, he's consistent, he's reliable, he's productive. He's had five consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards, and he's our number one target for Jaden Daniels. And again, I told you before with Minos De Piedra, or as you called them, champ, Debo Samuel. You know, there were concerns, questions about his weight. Terrell Owens, the Hall of Fame wide receiver, said he's two chicken McNuggets away from tipping the scales. But I love what Washington has done in the offseason. We've gotten some players regarding the offensive line. That was a huge need for us. We still got to address our defensive line, our defensive players. But I love it for Washington. It still keeps our playoff hopes alive. I don't believe we will have the type of year we had last season. I still believe we are playoff caliber as long as we have that quarterback. And again, as I said before, yes, the Eagles. But when is it that a team has won in that division back to back years? Remember a couple years ago when the Eagles, when they were 11-3 or somewhere like that in 2023, they struggled late in the season. They lost a couple of games to the New York Giants. They lost a home game to the Arizona Cardinals. So they were kind of struggling and regressing. And the NFC East is going to be exciting because not just with the Eagles and the Commanders, but also now with the New York Giants, because of that defensive line that they have. They've got some nice pieces on the offense with Cam Scatterboo, of course, with Malik Neighbors, and Russell Wilson is going to be the starter, and he may not be there for the long term. It's probably going to be at some point Jackson Dart or Martin Luther King Winston, Jameis Winston. So, as for Washington, I'm glad the deal was over. I'm glad we finally got it over. We finally put it to bed. Thank God we ain't the Cowboys. That I could tell you. But BRF, what are your thoughts?
Well, first off, shout out to me because I almost nailed the contract. I said they should give him 90 for. I said they should give him 90 over three.
You did.
They gave him 96 over. They gave him 96 over three. So shout out to me for almost practically nailing the contract. But I mean, it was like I said when we talked about it. You're not necessarily resetting the full-on wide receiver market, but you're giving Terry McLaurin his just due. I mean, that the Mike Evans analogy is a really good one. Mike Evans balls no matter who the quarterback is. Terry McLaurin balls no matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. Pencil him in for 1,000, anywhere from 6 to 9 touchdowns in the season. Just book it. He's going to ball no matter who the quarterback is. And now you give him a guy in Jaden Daniels who has an amazing deep ball, who can get him the ball on any given notice, and his accuracy. I mean, just his eye for the game. Just Terry McLaurin deserves this. He deserves this money. He absolutely deserves this money. I mean, and you have to take care of the guys who have been through the struggle, the highlights, the lowlights. You have to reward those guys who've been there, because it would have been a real shame. Would have been a real shame had they not taken care of Terry McLaurin, and he left, like everything he's going through with that franchise. I mean, playing from just I mean, just playing with who knows what at quarterback, to still be able to go out there. Exactly, just basically playing with dog water at the quarterback position, still going out there putting up numbers. And now you give him a guy in Jaden Daniels, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the league already after one season. So it's not necessarily like it was like it's like we talked about it in that episode. It's not necessarily you don't necessarily have to reset the market, but you have to give him his just due and you have to give him value. And I felt like 30 million a year is perfect for Terry McLaurin. It was perfect because I mean he's in those conversations being the top wide receivers in the league. He's not top five. I mean, you
Top
could
10,
probably make a
definitely.
you can make it. Yeah, exactly. He's in top 10 conversations. So you give him top 10 wide receiver money. $30 million a year, 32 a year is top 10 wide receiver money. He was worth that. So I'm glad they locked him up. And now it's just a matter of focusing on the regular season, getting ready, because I feel like that offense is scarier. That offense is better. Even with Debo Samuel, and he's kind of like one of those, like, I wouldn't say necessarily if you want to call him a question mark as far as like what is he going to do, how is he going to produce this year. I think Debo Samuel is going to have a good year because I feel like a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, who's actually, you know, down the line, second half of the year going into the playoffs, he fixed the, he kind of fixed a lot of his weaknesses as far as him being a play caller in the second half of the season and being able to adjust, particularly second half adjustments, working out a lot of those kinks from previous years when he was a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and basically creating some momentum with the Washington Commanders coming into 2025, fresh off of an NFC title game appearance. So I think this passing offense, has a chance to really do things because say what you want about Debo Samuel. You're not going to double team Terry McLaurin with Debo Samuel. Say what you want. You're not doubling Terry McLaurin with Debo Samuel. You're just not. And not just from the wide receiver standpoint with Debo, being able to flex him, whether you put him in the slot, you put him in the backfield, call a run for him every now and then, jet sweeps. Debo Samuel is going to be a very, very, very good trick play, gimmick play kind of receiver for this offense, but yet can still go out and be a natural receiver and get you yards and and still one of the better yak wide receivers in the National Football League because he's a big boy and he's hard to tackle and he can still run. So he's still one of the better yak receivers in the league when he got his hands on the ball. So I like Washington locking up Terry McLaurin because now Jaden Daniels has even more options now with a guy like Debo. He has even more options. So I'm very happy that Washington got the deal done. They needed to get it done because Terry McLaurin has been through too much, and PSP, you know it firsthand, being a Commanders fan. That man has been through too much and has played too well with too much dog water at the quarterback position for him to finally get a guy like Jaden Daniels and not reward him for the work he's put in for that franchise. So believe you me, they did the right thing of paying that man.
Before I let Champ have the floor, I agree with Candace. Jerry needs to call Wade Phillips from the UFL if he wants to get to a playoff. Hey, I
Oh
mean,
man.
shout out to our girl Candace. Knows her football, knows her sports, does a hell of a job with photography. And also too for women, shout out to the great Nessa, knows her wrestling. Love her. She's on the Sports for You podcast with, of course, the great Mr. Watson, John Watson, with all the crew. And also shout out to D as well. But BRF, I agree, man. Although I hate the fact that Brian Robinson Jr. is no longer there with the team, again, durability problems, and plus they didn't want to pay him that type of money. And they feel pretty confident with the running backs that they have. And plus, also go look at that wide receiver from Virginia Tech who they drafted, got some speed. And to pair him up with a Jaden Daniels, the ability to throw the deep ball as well, and with Cliff Kingsbury, who I was skeptical. I actually thought at one point I thought he should have been gone because I had concerns about him falling off the second half of the season. He proved me wrong. He proved me to be a believer. So I like what I'm seeing. Talk to me, big fella.
Terry McLaurin, look, Washington, way to reward your best guy who stuck with you through thick and thin. Like you stated earlier, I've said this on many of occasions. He is the Mike Evans of the Washington Commanders organization. He's come out there and put numbers up no matter who the quarterback is being. We call him Scary Terry for a reason. I'm gonna say it again. He's called Scary Terry for a reason. He makes the defense afraid. The speed, the route running, the hands that he has. So big ups to them. The only thing I hate is that you guys lost Brian Robinson. That's the only part I hate. But you guys got a look. You guys got another rookie that's there that just came in. I think his name's Smith Bukowski or something like that.
Yes.
He's coming in, and I think they're going to go with him. He's a little bit younger, and as we all know, Brian Robinson has had durability issues. So I hate you guys lost Brian Robinson, but at the same time, it's gonna be a hell of a season, man. I can't wait to see what the Commanders are going to do, man. The Commanders are one of the flagship franchises in the NFL. I don't think they get enough credit for what they do. I know Dallas and Pittsburgh gets a lot of the credit for, as far as being two of the flagship franchises, but the Washington Commanders, they have just as much to do with the success of the NFL in the early days of the television age as anybody. So for them to be back on top, for them to have survived the years that they've had under the Dan Snyder era, and and able to bounce back by going to an NFC championship, getting rid of Ron Rivera, surviving some of those lackluster draft picks. When you think about Chase Young, who was built up to be Julius Peppers, built up to be Mario Williams, but he turned out to be nothing. It was a lot of tough times during those overspending in free agency.
Albert Haynesworth.
Sean Springs. Overpaid like him, Sean Springs.
So, and what did I try to tell you about Montez Sweat? What did I try to tell you about Montez Sweat?
Yeah, we almost had him, but Chicago gave him a little bit more. We was gonna give him a third. They gave him a second. But you exactly told me I wanted them to give us Chase Young because I thought we could bring something out of him. But
I tried to tell you about
they tried to build up Chase. They tried to build up Chase Young like Julius Pepper's homeboy was looking more like Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Butler.
Yeah, that was it, man. It was crazy.
But I'm happy for Washington. They're moving in the right direction. I think this is a really good one. Sorry it took this long for us to come to that conclusion, but I'm glad because we still had the quarterback wide receiver duo and Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, and hopefully Washington, they can give us something because we're coming off an NFC Championship appearance and the future still looking pretty bright for Washington.